Today, I've got Tim Werkley, who owns Swan Packaging Fulfillment located in Wayne, New Jersey. Swan provides multi-channel pick and pack order fulfillment and FBA prep and support services. They were established in 1986 and operate a 125,000 foot square facility with over 60 employees. And this is the AMZSecrets.com show. What's up, you invincible kings? No amount of coffee can sustain us. We are lions. I'm your host, David Aladdin, and we are live at the International Command Center, Outpost number 73. I've built this show to jump past the basics and into the front lines of Amazon. Let's be the Johannes Gutenberg, the German who brought printing to Europe. Let's be visionaries. In this show, I interview inventors, business owners, entrepreneurs, founders to understand the person, their strategies, and advice so that all of us can become kings. Let's skip past the sponsors and right into it. Great to have you on this show, Tim.
Thank you, David. Good morning. How are you?
Good. So you have a 125,000 square foot warehouse, 60 employees. Let's go back to the beginning where you just had one employee. What happened?
Sure. So we're established in 1986, which is 30 years ago this year. We started in Roselle Park, New Jersey, with about 25,000 square feet, something like that. It is a family business. I'm very fortunate to have parents who started the business, and I'm an only child, so taking it over was a great honor and privilege that they gave to me. And they're great. They were great teachers and mentors in growing the business and helping to perpetuate it. So I do thank them. But they started in '86. We had a small facility. We did what's called one-shot fulfillment. So we were packing books into boxes for one customer, really, and sending them out to consumers and the public. And over time, that evolved into other kinds of fulfillment, as well as packaging. So we did a lot of things like kit assemblies and shrink wrapping, different kinds of contract packaging services. And then I'd say in the mid-90s, we started getting into order fulfillment, so storing inventory for some of those same customers and picking and packing and shipping orders. And then as e-commerce grew and the services to support that became more popular, or to outsource at least, we really converted away from the packaging business and primarily into the order fulfillment business. And at this point, we have about 125,000 square feet and about 60 employees. We ship thousands of orders every day across somewhere around 40 or 50 customers. And it's a very behind-the-scenes industry that nobody knows about unless you're somehow involved in this for some reason. Yeah. But it's an important component of the e-commerce industry and the support network that allows packages to be shipped to consumers' homes. So
interesting. So in the 90s, and actually, like while you were growing up, you were working. It was your dad's business when he initially started, right?
That's right. Yeah. So he actually started a company called Swan Packaging in 1980, which was a packaging brokerage company. And then he met a guy who owned a fulfillment center in the lobby of a shared customer. And then he brought some business into that fulfillment center and then ended up sort of buying his way into it and then bought that person out of the company. So that was sort of the origin of it. But he founded it, and my mother worked in it as well and grew it. And then I came in 1998, and then they retired in the early 2000s, and that's sort of where we are today.
I'm curious, what was the reason why he purchased the other business partner out of it?
Opportunity, I guess, the American dream, right? He brought a big piece of business into it and thus bought into it. And I think the other guy had some health problems as well, and unfortunately, but that probably was the reasoning that it happened. But nonetheless, it gave him an opportunity to own his own company. So,
yeah, many times I hear the partnership itself doesn't work out, but I can see how health could detract from the operations of the business and want someone to get rid of their vested share in the business. Very cool.
Yep. Yep.
So during the 90s, so you transitioned in 98, so about was that 18 years now that you've been running the
You're aging me, but yeah. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So
So,
when you inherited the business, it was at 25,000 square foot, or was it bigger at that point?
no, I think we were at about 60,000 square feet. And since then, we have grown it up to about 125,000. I think we took over additional space in 2009 and 2010. So we stayed in the 60 for a period of time, and then the growth into the larger space was really a function of more customers, more inventory, needing to expand the footprint to accommodate the growth. So.
Awesome. So you've doubled the business at least in terms of square footage. That's not in terms of profit or revenue. Um, are you guys leveraging the entire space? How's this looking on your side?
Yeah, I mean it's a warehouse facility with offices, so it's primarily a combination of operational space for receiving and product handling, in a receiving dock
Hmm.
environment, pallet racking where we store bulk inventory, and then picking locations where we replenish from bulk to forward pick locations, and people are picking orders from those locations. So it's sort of a blend of different types of storage fixtures to support the operational process. And we have a lot of people, a lot of forklifts driving around. So it's a high movement, high product in, product out type of building. So.
What does 125,000 square feet look like? Like I've lived in like a 3,000 square foot house. That was pretty big. So
Considerably bigger, a higher roof, and it's essentially a big box, and you fill it with racking and equipment to be able to store as much inventory as you can and move it around efficiently and effectively. And the design of your facility has a lot to do with your ability to be efficient and thus have lower costs. So, we try to um, set things up both globally and at a customer level to make ourselves efficient. So it does evolve over time. We change the layout and the racking and the setup of things to make it work for the kinds of customers we have, the kinds of products that they have, um, and what we need to do with people in an assembly line or production type of environment.
hmm. Speaking of people, you guys have 60 employees. How'd you guys scale employees wise? Who's doing the hiring? What's that look
Um,
like?
so, we try to hire or promote from within. So we bring people in
Mm.
at a lower level, and then as they gain skills and experience, we try to allow them to progress in the company. And it's probably there's probably a core group on the warehouse side of about 10 or 15 people, 20 people who have been here for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then we have 10 or 15 people who on the supervisory and executive level who have been here, but up to 25 years, some of them. So we have a lot of tenure, a lot of experience in our management, and that goes a long way in terms of running a good operation and having a positive working environment. So.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned running a good operation because one of the hardest parts about businesses is scaling the right team. And it seems like you've put the right people in places. You've got an executive team managing the warehouse staff, the logistics of all these different businesses importing goods into your warehouse.
Hmm.
How many containers are coming in every day?
It varies widely. We'll get in a combination of floor-loaded containers from overseas, truck deliveries, so pallet deliveries of full trucks or individual pallets, LTL it's called, UPS and FedEx small package deliveries. So the inbound is really fluctuates considerably day to day, week to week, season to season, depending on the customer's inventory and their market and who they're selling to and what they're selling. But we'll go from no truck or container deliveries to 5 containers in one day. So it just really depends. So.
I've recently had this problem where I get a lot of wholesalers asking to sell my brand, products from within my brand. And do a lot of like your customers handle wholesalers this way? They ship them into this warehouse, and then from there you guys take the orders from all these wholesalers and send the goods over. So how is that? How does this whole system work? Because right now, yeah, go ahead.
So most of our customers are a blend of multi-channel marketers in one way or another. They are selling products generally to the public, to the consumers in the public, with some degree of business-to-business requirement. And they typically will have their own website where they sell products direct to the public through a shopping cart program. They may have an Amazon presence where they're selling the same items through FBA or through different methods of Amazon that we support, and I'll get into that later. And then other marketplaces, eBay, Walmart.com, Sears, Rakuten, you name it. So they'll typically have one or multiple channels that we're fulfilling on a concurrent basis. And the inventory is stored in our facility and can be used to support all of them. So in terms of how they manage that, there's a lot of software options to facilitate it, multi-channel aggregation systems, and the ability to report and unify those things together. And then other customers just integrate to our systems independently for each channel, and we fulfill all the orders independently. So there's different ways to approach how we manage all of the sales channels. And it's really just a function of what the customer needs us to do. So in some scenarios, we're only shipping product to FBA, so we're doing a lot of FBA prep. So the FN SKU labeling, poly bagging, kit assemblies, and set building. And then other customers will need those services in addition to fulfilling on the other channels at the same time. So it's sort of a mix of customer types and sizes. So.
I just realized during your time, the whole Amazon situation happened. So you started in '98, and then Amazon kind of crept into your space. How did and you guys reacted? You guys to this change in landscape. How did this whole thing happen for you? Like, what year did you see FBA starting and Amazon customers starting to come into your business?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. So Amazon is an interesting company to work with as a service provider, and also work with on behalf of our customers who are sellers on Amazon. For our experience, or our story with it is, I'd say in early 2000s, I don't remember, 2002, 3 maybe, Amazon bought one of our customers, which was a company called Audible.com. And, at the time I said, okay, well, it happens, you lose customers one way or another. And then not too long after that, they bought a division of a different customer. And then I started competing against FBA, soon thereafter. And so, yeah, I started to see the writing on the wall that, Amazon is not going away. I'm not going to beat them at this game, and they have their own sort of monopolized marketplace where they can create an environment of requiring you to use all of their services one way or another. And there's no way that I can, prevent or compete with that. So it's really a fork in the road of either trying to just stay away from people that sell through Amazon or on Amazon, or embracing it and trying to work with it. So we chose the latter, and we started getting into primarily FBA prep, so getting product to FBA's facilities in concert with customers selling those same items on their own website. Then as the marketplace has expanded, you start to see a lot more competition to Amazon now, with particularly Walmart purchasing Jet, and putting a stake in the ground and saying, Amazon's not going to rule this landscape. We're going to have some competition, which I think is healthy.
For sure. Yeah.
And then Amazon sort of comes back and doesn't allow you to use unbranded packaging in their multi-channel fulfillment anymore. They start hiking up their long-term storage fees. So it's really quickly evolving, and we're trying to stay at the forefront of it to support customers that really sell in a multi-channel environment.
Mm. Yeah, because I feel like if I was running a warehouse and then these new guys came into town and then they started taking over, a lot of the fulfillment of products. And you mentioned that they were acquiring businesses that were going through your warehouse. Are you able to mention how much they acquired particular businesses for?
Oh, I don't know what the purchase prices were. I mean,
Yeah.
Audible, you probably heard of,
Yeah.
it started as like the book on tape type of company, and they were based in the same area as we were, and we were doing device fulfillment for them. So the
Interesting.
concept was you get a device when you sign up for the service, and we were fulfilling the devices. So we were shipping thousands a month, and it was a nice piece of business. And eventually the device market became saturated. Everybody had a device, so they didn't need to entice you to sign up for the service by giving you one. So that diminished. But the pieces of business that they took from us, that particular one had shrunk, so it wasn't really much of an impact. But thereafter, the next one was larger, and then losing business to FBA became more of an issue. So that was really the time when I started to need to reevaluate the approach to Amazon. So
Mm. It's like a two-sided war. You've got us, like, products that are entering, it becomes competition and they start taking
mhm.
market share. On your side, Amazon buying a business that is providing a significant amount of revenue coming in, you start to lose a lot of money if you're shipping
Yeah,
100. It's totally a
they're
different perspective.
they're a beast. I mean, I don't sell anything on Amazon. I mean, we're strictly a service provider to the marketplace, to the market. But my customers tell me they're your best friend, they're your worst enemy. They'll take your listing over if it's a good product and good, doing well, and they have the ability to shut you down immediately if your metrics fall below the requirements. So like in anything else, diversification is important, and having other sales channels available and supporting your business to make it more stable and healthy is a good idea, and particularly with, as I said, the change with Walmart.com, it's sort of a foreboding of the future of, the landscape is now going to be a little bit different. Amazon I think the pace of their growth and their domination is going to slow down a little bit.
Mm.
And, a lot of it has to do with sellers not liking how Amazon treats them. I mean, from what I've heard, it's very difficult. They're not very flexible. The response is not great. But they're the 800-pound gorilla, so you have to sort of play with them, right?
You're actually super on point. They don't treat us as well as they treat their customers. They don't see us as customers. So you're definitely on point in that regard.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that it is a customer-centric company. They care about having the confidence level with the customer general public who is buying from them, and that is at the expense of the seller. And you can choose to go along with it and support that, or you can not sell on Amazon. And so, they said it's an internal monopoly that they have with you, and your option is to just not work with them. So it is what it is. I can't blame them for growing in that way, and I Jeff Bezos did a pretty good job, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, if you're a seller of product in the e-commerce market, Amazon is a required piece of your portfolio. So
Hmm. I I've been actually going into like some businesses and just some retailers refuse to go on Amazon or they refuse to sell on Amazon for whatever reason. Um, but let's talk about savings. Like, Let's say we start using a fulfillment center outside of FBA. What type of savings do you see an Amazon seller saving?
So it could take a lot of forms. I mean, storage is the most important one, right?
Yep.
They recently upped their storage charges considerably, particularly around the holiday season. So long-term storage is can really kill your business quickly. And that's a function of them growing the FBA business and their e-commerce monopoly very, very quickly, and the inability to support that structurally. So they say, we need to force out all of the inactive inventory and slow the growth of our infrastructure build.
Mhm.
And that's why they introduced Seller Fulfilled Prime as well, which we're getting into as well to support for customers. So um, it's it's very interesting to see how this is progressing, and trying to stay in front of it, is challenging. But I think we're doing a good job at it.
The crazy thing is like if you spend, I mean, if you have your inventory longer than 6 months, they start charging you even more money. And so it's like
Yeah.
they have so much inventory in their warehouses that they just don't even want it anymore. It's almost the exact opposite of, you guys want more inventory in your warehouse.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways we have a similar attitude about slow moving inventory. Like we don't want to bog down our facilities with product that doesn't move. Our
Mm.
revenues and our business is based on active product flowing through the building. Our service fees are generated by touching the product essentially. So in that regard, we sort of have a similar approach. I don't act upon that approach in the same way. I don't penalize customers, immediately if their inventory sits for a period of months. It doesn't operate like that. And relative to your prior question, which I sort of got off of, um, cost savings, the storage is one factor. Any large size items, oversized product is treated differently in the FBA model.
Mhm.
And both from a storage and a fulfillment perspective. We tend to be substantially cheaper than multi-channel fulfillment with lighter items. So anything under a pound, when it can ship at a flat rate across the country, we have very low shipping rates, and they're sort of on par with Amazon shipping rates. So, when there's a lot of throughput of light product, the fees Amazon assesses where they embed the shipping into it is sort of similar to our fees. So you avoid getting the necessity of getting the product to FBA, the time lag, and the cost of the carrying cost of that product there. So there are a lot of savings opportunities, in the nature of the storage and lighter product being fulfilled directly from our building. And that's where Seller Fulfilled Prime also comes in when you start shipping from your own facility as opposed to putting product into FBA. There's a whole savings of transportation, the time loss, and if you're purchasing the shipping through FBA or through Amazon, the cost is effectively the same. So
Mm. I want to like, if possible, can we deep dive into the actual cost savings? Like, is it you think we'd save like 10, maybe 20% versus if we went straight to Amazon in terms of warehousing?
very hard to say.
Yeah.
That's very much at a product level
Hmm.
even. So it's not just a company or customer level; it's a product level. So if you have an item that is very large, um, you're going to save proportionally more. Whereas if you
Interesting.
have very small product, in our facility, we're charging you very little to store it relative to what Amazon is. So, the mix of your inventory and the kind of product you're selling has a lot to do with the degree of savings related to storage. And as I said, lighter non-media product, can be cheaper to be fulfilled from our facility. We have a harder time competing with the shipping rates from Amazon on things that are over a pound. So,
Mm.
they sort of own the shipping industry in a lot of ways, and they're building their own, network of planes now. And you see the Amazon trucks delivering packages all the time. So, um, the shipping component of it is a little harder to compete with for the larger, heavier product. Um, but as I said, I think the future of it, when you talk about where this is going as opposed to where it is right now, is that sellers are really going to be on a lot more places than just Amazon. And, the ability to support all of those channels concurrently is important, both, the new ones as well as continuing to support Amazon. So getting product into FBA, potentially doing seller fulfilled Prime, doing FBM, so shipping from your own warehouse and not being on Prime. We also do Vendor Central, so if you sell product to Amazon, just getting it there and complying with everything. But diversifying and having those other channels is really the direction that things are going, and trying to set up the infrastructure to accommodate that sooner than later is a good idea.
I feel like there's like this whole love-hate relationship between, the warehousing industry, the shipping industry with Amazon.
Right.
They're stepping on everyone's toes. When will it stop?
Yeah, I mean, look, they provide I don't know what the percentage is, but a large percentage of the revenue for companies like UPS, and to some degree USPS as well, in the blended postal products that they use. So I think you'll see, them get further into the shipping business as time goes by. I mean, and they're going to, particularly in the urban areas, so building out the infrastructure to allow them to deliver packages from the source to the destination without needing another carrier. Now, you say, okay, what is that going to do relative to their relationships with the carriers and the pricing they have based on the entire volume they give them normally? I don't know that. That's way over my head. But I think the future and the reality of it is that Amazon will, they already own the logistics side of it relative to the product storage and the handling and certainly the marketing and selling. But I think you'll see them get considerably more involved in the delivery aspect of it. The 2-day Prime, the next day, the same day delivery for urban environments. Do you need to get that product this afternoon if you ordered it this morning? Maybe, maybe not. So it sort of depends on what you're buying as to whether or not it is even applicable or useful. But they will be in the logistics business more and more over time.
What do you think about they were coming out with these airplane drones that would deliver lightweight items to your house?
That was a couple of years ago, right? When I think they did it around not around Super Bowl, right before Christmas. So to some degree, I think that was a bit of a marketing gimmick, to get you to say, oh, Amazon, and then coincidentally now I'm Christmas shopping and, I'm thinking Amazon still. So, but is that out of the realm of possibility? No, right? I mean, they're talking about Uber with the self-driving cars now, and a lot more remotely controlled or smart devices moving product around. I don't see the sky being filled with thousands of drones delivering packages at the degree to which they ship packages now, but I think it has its place probably in certain applications, sure.
I'm just thinking because that would eliminate a lot of package deliveries from USPS and UPS if they just eliminated that section out of the game with the air freight.
Yeah, it's a lot of, you're talking about a lot of volume of packages though. So, that drone has got to make a lot of trips back and forth.
You guys would need to open the airplane bay.
We'll put a drone landing site on our roof. So.
Make a little square right there and cut it out.
Right.
That'd be kind of cool. Okay, so I recently had a 40-foot container get quoted in California by my freight forwarder, and they said I think it was about $400 a month for storage per month at a storage facility. Is that quote kind of on par?
Well, so if you have a 40-foot container, presume they're stripping it, they're unloading it, and then putting it into storage and giving you a storage rate based on the yield of pallet storage that comes out of that container. The number of pallets that you produce will be a function of how high you stack the pallets. and the size of the boxes. So if you have very large, bulky boxes and you're putting them in racking where there's not a lot of height, then you're going to produce more pallets. And conversely, if you have a lot of small boxes, you can customize it better and fit proportionally more product. So a little hard to say whether that's a good rate, but usually you'll get between 30 and 50 pallets out of a container, depending on those factors that I mentioned, out of a 40-foot container at least. And so if you say, what did you say, $400, right? So
$400 a month for a
right,
40-foot container.
Just say that'd be about $10 per pallet per month if you put it in the middle of the number of pallets that it yields. So it's not out of the ballpark. No, I don't think so.
Solid response. I didn't expect that detailed of an answer.
It's all about numbers.
For sure. Let's talk about numbers. What keeps you up at night running this fulfillment center?
Well, people outsource the operational management of their business because they don't want to have employees. They don't want to have a big facility.
Yeah.
They don't want to stay current with their systems or need to stay current with their systems related to logistics. They don't want to negotiate shipping rates with carriers. So, everything that these business owners decided or uses the reasons for outsourcing become my problems, right? But when you do that collectively across 40, 50 customers, it takes on a different approach. So those are the things that keep me up at night, but that's the nature of our business, right? I mean, that's what we are as a company and the service we provide to other businesses. So, but besides that, I mean, it's managing 60 people is there's a lot of politics. You have a bit of a he said, she said type of thing coming up a lot, and that's just the nature of having employees, and you take it as it comes and you deal with it the right way and you treat people with respect and have a positive, healthy working environment, and you're going to have as good of an operation as you possibly can. Aside from that, staying ahead of the curve with the e-commerce landscape and particularly the technology side of it is challenging. Trying to be aware of what the trends are, particularly related to Amazon, and adapting to them and having solutions in place to address them for customers, proactively as opposed to reactively. That is, I don't want to say keeps me awake at night, but that is something that becomes, a large focus of my time. So
this episode is brought to you by AMZSecrets.com VIP, seller tools built for us to supercharge our Amazon listings. I'm about to launch a massive new phase into VIP. It's going to be epic. We will be kings. You can get your free invite to the platform at AMZSecrets.com. Let's talk about technology. I noticed you guys mentioned you're doing a lot of automation within the warehouse. Can you go more into detail about that?
Sure. So, you see a lot of videos and pictures of robots and machines doing everything in a warehouse. And I mean, we don't have that. I think there are facilities that do that. You really need to have a very consistent workflow with consistent product for automation to make any sense. And, so we have people doing the vast majority of tasks. Now, the qualification to that is that we try and put as much automation around them as we can. So, to take the decision-making, the discretionary part of it out of the mix, simplifying the process and the workflow, and introducing, physical automation where it makes sense financially and logistically, no pun intended. But so things like carton sealing machines, we have, auto bagging machines to make mailing bags essentially and print labels to the bags. Different kinds of machines and things related to adhesives. So, presenting labels and tape to the workers in an automated way. So it's like an economy of motion study where you set up your operational space and your workflow to have the least number of steps and decision-making points involved, and that is what makes you efficient and makes you able to use the same process across 40 or 50 customers and not have to specialize it uniquely to each customer. So part of our business or our ability to be efficient is having certain standards of how we operate and then applying those standards across many customers. But our ability to get and retain customers is the necessity to customize those things to each customer's needs and nuances. And that's sort of the challenge, to make both of those work together. So.
You have like a different perspective because you see all the sellers and what they're doing. What are sellers doing very well that you see?
What are they doing well? I think most sellers now are pretty strong on the, I don't want to say the IT side, but the product presentation side, right? So getting product served up to customers, whether it's on their own website, Amazon, or any other marketplace. Providing detail, managing the feedback, managing the the customer issues related to it. So the customer facing side, I think, is done pretty well now, and there's a lot of tools associated with that assist in that, which is why I think it's better than it ever was. It does put things on a level playing field. So you don't have to be a huge brand to present your product professionally and sell it and compete with a large brand. It does enable customers to be a virtual company, have an office with a couple of people, buy product overseas, source it effectively, and if you're good at outsourcing, like what we do,
So true.
you can outsource everything. I mean, you can be what really is a virtual business by outsourcing every aspect of your business, using software that's software as a service, you pay as you go, and utilizing the new trends and the new technologies to make yourself appear like a very large company that has a lot of history and quality and support behind it. So.
I feel like you're like describing me. No, I'm technically a one-person team. I have outsourced a lot of the work, and I'm matched up against corporations right now and performing better in some keywords and whatnot in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
Well,
you probably pay attention to it, right? And when you outsource everything, your only focus is on procuring product and selling it and the marketing associated with it. So, when you're a large brand, you have a lot of turnover, you have departments that do different things. You're probably coming out of a historically retail facing environment and getting into e-commerce, so the culture and everything that is behind the history of the company is not necessarily modern, but that being said, companies with billions of dollars tend to find talent and do things well too. So, but obviously you're doing something right. So.
Well, I feel like people that have a strong technology background are going to have a way bigger advantage than the traditional retail kind of vision forward. I think the e-commerce landscape is changing drastically. I have a feeling e-commerce is going to dominate the playing field. Maybe not in the next 5 years, but over the next 50 years, your warehouse will probably scale up in equivalent to the amount of. I see you smiling over there. In direct correlation to the e-commerce growing, because people are going to be buying more online, and it's our
No
generation
doubt.
that's kind of.
No doubt. I mean, you see the reports and the data about e-commerce growth and the history and the projections, and they're not making it up. I mean, it's here to stay, and everything. It probably represents the fastest growing segment of our economy, right? I mean, just e-commerce in general, which is a broad statement, obviously, or broad term, but people. There's a degree of convenience to not going to the store. as the technologies improve, you get to really sample or see product differently and better than you ever did. So instead of you sort of taking a guess as to what you're getting, you're now able to get 360-degree views of the product, reviews that are theoretically not tainted or seeded at least. The retail experience is being replicated in a lot of ways that wasn't done before because it couldn't be, and so when you can get the logistical side of it done effectively and cheaply, that's where you're displacing the retail, right? So if you're getting product into people's hands in 1 or 2 days, you're replicating that retail experience with shopping by being able to see it and touch and to feel it without touching and feeling it, return it easily, have a good experience. They want to buy from you again, and there's no reason why it doesn't extend into many different things. That being said, I probably wouldn't buy like a refrigerator online, but there's a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought I could buy online 10 years ago that I now do buy online. So it certainly is. It's not going to be going in the other direction. So
I agree with. I mean, I bought my car online.
there you go.
It was risky, but
Prove me wrong.
yeah. You guys store cars over there?
Unfortunately, no. Maybe Matchbox cars, but
We got about 15 minutes left. I want to
sure.
talk about things that I've missed out in this show. What have I missed so far?
What have you missed? Well, if you talk about it, the Amazon experience versus everything outside of Amazon, and if we take a step away from Amazon and say, what are you trying to be as a seller to your customers? What is the experience? If you're trying to create a brand for your company, how do you do that? And from a logistical perspective, which is the thing that I can really comment on, the good experience in shopping is important. So that, what does that consist of? It's the website, it's the ease of making the transaction, it's the experience you have when you get the package, which is a function of the packaging materials, the degree of branding, the presentation of the product, right? I always liked Amazon's frustration-free packaging. I thought that was a great concept, and tend to buy things that model as much as possible because it does. I don't want to have to rip open the clamshell packaging and cut my fingers with a knife to get to the product that is inside of it, because the clamshell and those types of packages are meant to be put on a retail peg or a shelf so that you can see them. But in e-commerce, you see them on the internet, and you don't need to see it that way in the delivery. So, doing things like that to where you create that positive experience. Some of our customers take it to a very high level with dressing up the whole thing. Like particularly the subscription box type companies, where there's this whole wow factor of opening the box, and there's tissue paper and labels and stickers with the brand and all the little sizzle paper, and just really sort of making it a gift to yourself, in a lot of ways. So those, the combination of all those things are what make a brand successful by retaining customers and being able to grow into different product lines as well. So.
I suppose you see a lot of packages every day, and I liked how you were talking about what other sellers were doing in terms of their packaging. Let's go more into that. What are some awesome ways to package our products that you see working well?
So the answer to that sort of depends on the seller and the product and the price points, right? So if you're selling a very inexpensive product and your engagement with the customer at the packaging material level doesn't necessarily need to be, very polished or appear very well, you can really send things out very inexpensively. So, we have automated bagging machines to put product into mailer bags and print a label on them and get them out the door, and that doesn't have it doesn't convey, a branding per se, but it gets it there easily and inexpensively. And then conversely, if you have products that are very high intrinsic value and, electronics or anything really branded, then you want to prepare them and pack them in a way that the customer experience is very positive, and it costs money. I mean, it costs time and it costs materials to achieve that. But again, it's really just a function of what you're selling, who you're selling to, and the value of the product, and then what you can absorb in all those costs to get it there that way.
Yeah, agreed. I've purchased some of my competitors' products just to see how they package their products, and everybody does it slightly differently. Some people go all out, create the matte black look, and like you were saying, the tissue paper and open in the box. There's actually, a whole community of unboxers that will analyze how, analyze how well you package that product. Very cool. I know we're running out of time. How can people reach you?
So our website is swanpackaging.com, like the bird. And my phone number is 973-790-8417. My email is tim@swanpackaging.com. And, I'm always happy to talk to sellers interested in our services, or, in what we do. It's often a consultative nature as well, to assist them to figure out what direction they should be going with a lot of things related to logistics, and then ultimately putting together a program for them that leads them in the right direction as well. So, yeah, that's how you can find me.
Awesome. Tim, it was a pleasure having you on. Mittens, I hope you loved the podcast as I did. Be sure to check out our live Facebook mastermind group at amzsecrets.com/FB. There's over 5,000 members in there. Also, I'm looking for guests to come on the show to add more value and more golden nuggets. If interested, go to amzsecrets.com/guest. I know you're out there. Yes, you over there. Lastly, please leave a review on iTunes at amzsecrets.com/review. Every review counts and helps spread the word. This podcast has been written, edited, directed by David Aladdin, Global King in Amazon, Logistics Strategy, and Building Castles. Hee hee. What? David Aladdin, out.